I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. The title of tonight's Starborn show is called Putting Your Foot Down. And that is because a strange thing is happening among the planets, and it's sort of evenly balanced. And so you may have to put your foot down this week in order to ensure peace and cooperation. So there's a good reason to do that. But the reason why you could be finding yourself in a somewhat stern position at the same time that you're trying to promote peace and cooperation and finding out that that's the only way to do it, by putting your foot down, is because all 10 planets in the heavens right now are trining each other. That's the good news. And so that would really help promote peace and cooperation. But that is because of the 10 planets up there, and in the 4 elements, there's one element that doesn't have any planets in it. And so that's the earth signs. There's nothing in Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. And so those are sort of getting left out right now, and earth signs are very practical. But we're still going to have to put our feet down in order to promote peace and cooperation so that justice may be done. Now, why is that so important? It's important because a major planet has just changed signs, and another major planet has changed directions. And that changes the way things can be going on right now. And on top of that, to contrast the wonderful good news about all 10 planets trining each other, is the fact, oddly enough, that all 10 planets are also squaring or opposing each other at the same time. That's why putting your foot down is about the only choice you've got this week to get something right, or make sure justice is done, or to promote peace and cooperation. And it begins because a wonderful planet has just changed signs, and that is Venus. Venus is now at 2 degrees of Libra. Well, Venus rules Libra, and Libra rules peace and partnership and love and marriage and cooperation and fairness and balance. And it rules art and beauty and decorating. It also rules the law and all legal contracts. And so those are all highlighted right now because Venus is at home in the sign it rules. And it is being joined by the Sun today. So those are 2 great planets, and they're part of a grand trine of 4 planets in the air signs. And so that Venus at 2 degrees, along with the Sun, is exactly trining Uranus in Gemini, which is retrograde at 1 degree. So that's a tight trine between Venus and Uranus. And those 3 planets are also being trined by Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius, which rules the future. But Pluto has just changed direction. It's no longer retrograde. And so Pluto is going forward. And Pluto rules people in upper management who are in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions who really have their eye on the future, because that's what Aquarius rules. And new partnerships are well aspected as these people want to move forward right now, since Pluto is direct. But right ahead of these wonderful planets that are in a grand trine in air signs, particularly with Venus at home in the sign it rules, is another planet that's also at home in the sign it rules. And you could almost say this planet has the opposite effect of what Venus has, and that's because it's Mars. Mars is in Scorpio at 16 degrees, and it is being closely conjuncted by Mercury, the planet of the mind and communication, at 13 degrees. And a conjunction compounds the strength of both planets. And they too are among 4 planets that are in a grand trine in the water signs, which rule our feelings and our emotions. And so Mars rules war and aggression and jealousy and hate and competition and, getting in there and getting the job done. And that is one reason why people should be thinking about putting their foot down, because that Mars is at home in the sign it rules. It means business. But it's being beautifully trined by the exalted Jupiter in Cancer. And Cancer rules not only the 4th house of home and last half of life, but it rules endings. And one way to facilitate peace and cooperation is to end situations that are combative. And in order to do that and to make sure that justice is done, somebody's going to have to put their foot down right now. Because the 2 planets in Scorpio, which are trining Jupiter in Cancer, are also being trined by another malefic planet. And Mars is a malefic planet, but it is Saturn, which is in Pisces. And Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And so this grand trine in the water signs means that we can be very much in touch with our feelings, and that we may want to sort of make sure that justice is done. And that's what Scorpio rules. It's a fixed financial sign. And the problem with, and the reason why we're going to be having to put our feet down and really insist on something this week, is because Scorpio's rulers are squaring each other. They've been doing that for a while, but now they're both direct. And that is because Mars rules Scorpio, and it is being squared by its other ruler, Pluto, which is now direct in Aquarius. And remember, it's in the sign of the future. Well, Pluto is part of the grand trine in the air signs, and Mars and Mercury are part of the grand trine in the water signs. But by themselves, these 2 planets can signify that a lot of people have financial problems right now, because Scorpio rules credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance costs, inheritance, grants, or money coming in from any other source. All of those could be in question right now for one reason or another. And so we have to understand that there's a good reason to try to see that justice is done. And probably if you dug down deep enough, it would have something to do with finances, which are in question right now. So what we have is we have a grand trine of 4 planets in the air signs. We have another grand trine of 4 planets in the water signs. That's great. So there's 2 planets left, and they're trining each other. And that's because the moon today is in Leo, and it's not in a grand trine, but it is trining Neptune, which is retrograde in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. So those are all the 10 planets that are sort of wondrously trining each other. But now we've got to look at the other side of the story, and it is that all 10 of those wonderful planets are being squared or opposed by some other planet right now, and that is why we need to sort of get down to brass tacks and really put our foot down about something. And it begins with 4 planets that are in a harsh T-cross among the cardinal signs. Well, Libra is a cardinal sign, and so that wonderful Venus in Libra, along with the Sun there, are being squared by Jupiter in Cancer, another cardinal sign. And Jupiter is, Jupiter is a wonderful planet, and it's exalted in Cancer. And so Jupiter and Venus are the 2 best planets in the heavens, and they're not getting along. They're squaring each other. And on top of that, all 3 of these planets are being being squared and opposed by Neptune, which is retrograde in Aries. So Neptune is opposing the Sun, and it's also opposing Venus. And Neptune retrograde in Aries is an indication of a false start, or somebody who thought they were going to get something off the ground, but they weren't well enough prepared for it, or they didn't really have enough motivation, or they didn't have their act together, so they didn't qualify to get, in other words, the public didn't think that a new beginning should begin right now, so it sort of fizzles out. And that can affect peace on the ground, or peace among partners, because that Neptune is opposing Venus and the Sun today, and being squared by Jupiter in Cancer, and Cancer rules endings. And so there's that problem going on. And so what that really means, since Venus is at home in the sign it rules, it's very, very strong right now. It's got the Sun there too. It means that peace comes at a very high price now. It's got a real high price on it. And that's why you may need to put your foot down this week, because there are challenging situations, some of which could be financially motivated. And that's got to get straightened out so that peace and cooperation can go forward. And so that's one reason why we've got to put our feet down. But there are another 4 planets in the fixed signs. They don't budge at all. And they are in a harsh T-cross. And so, that's another challenge to a lot of different planets. And that is because Mars and Mercury, which are tightly conjuncting, so they're twice as strong because they've got the power of both planets there. are being squared by, as I said, Pluto, which is in Aquarius, but Pluto is direct now, meaning that people who have their eye on the future really want to get going, and they know that's going to cost a lot of money, so they have financial worries on their mind. But that Pluto in Aquarius is also opposing the moon today in Leo. And Mars and Mercury in Scorpio are squaring the moon in Leo. And so, and since the moon rules women, there is the possibility that there is a woman, or possibly more women, that may be relieved of their job duties. And so it wouldn't exactly be a layoff, because they wouldn't be coming back. But they would be relieved of their job duties. And why would that occur? For financial reasons. Pluto is opposing the moon, and Mercury and Mars are squaring that moon, and Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. Everybody has financial problems right now, and if you don't have any, that's wonderful. But maybe your employer does, or maybe your neighbors do, or maybe someone else in your family has financial problems. And so we've got to make sure that justice is done, and that peace does have a high price. And the high price might be that we have to get a little bit tough about what we believe in, and really put our foot down right now. And so that could be going on because of this harsh T-cross among the fixed signs, but there's still two other planets, and they are in the mutable signs, and they are both squaring each other. And they are both malefic planets. And that's another indication of, gee, you know, we've got to sort of face the music right now and put our foot down on a few things, because Uranus is in Gemini at 1 degree, and it is squaring Saturn, another malefic planet, in Pisces, and it is at, I think, 27 degrees today. But the problem is that the nature of these two planets is completely opposite. Uranus is just volatile, it's unpredictable, it's rebellious, it wants freedom, it wants to have its own way no matter what, and it's unstable. And it rules things that are ahead of their time. It rules Aquarius, so it's sort of like experimental as well. And it's coming up against Saturn. Saturn rules time. It rules not skipping steps. It rules doing everything in precise order. You know, sort of just, you know, going forward and keeping your feet on the ground. It rules Capricorn. But there aren't any planets in the earth signs right now. And so what we have is we have the volatility of Uranus coming up against the steadiness of Saturn. Well, Saturn also rules time, and it is in Pisces, ruling things that could be hidden behind the scenes. And so this is a time when a well-concealed secret from long ago could be exposed quite suddenly, and this would result in the abrupt departure of some people. And that's because Uranus moves so quickly. And Gemini is a travel sign. It rules short travels, but it also rules transitional changes. So it could also result in an abrupt transitional change of some sort, based on a secret that was cleverly concealed but does come out. And so you see, in order to maintain peace, it's got a high price. And the price we're all going to have to pay right now is that we all have to put our foot down. And what we have to do, even though there are no planets in any of the earth signs, is we have to face reality. We have to face how we really feel, and we have to face what we want to do about it, and we have to face our financial condition, or the financial conditions of others, and we have to face our future as well. That grand trine in the air signs. Pluto going direct in the sign of the future, Aquarius. So it's a little bit like having the tide turn. It's a little bit like having to say, you know, you can't go back to yesterday, but you can go forward. And, you know, what's it going to cost? And how can we do that in a peaceful way so that we all succeed? So if peace has a high price right now, and you have to put your foot down to ensure peace and cooperation, that's a good idea. You may not have any other choices this week. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, for you. What it means, Aries, is that the good news is that the moon in Leo is trining your sun where you have Neptune, which is retrograde. It's going to be leaving your sign real quickly because it's at 0 degrees now, and it's going to be going back in Pisces. But right now, Neptune and the moon in Leo are trining each other. So you could think, well, gee, I could go to a friend of mine, maybe a woman friend of mine, and even if something hasn't worked out the way I wanted to regarding a new beginning, maybe my woman friend could help me sort of get something underway. And so I can see why you would be thinking about that, Aries. And instead, perhaps before you enlist other people to help you, you might want to analyze why something hasn't gotten off the ground the way you wanted it to, and try to look where, say it was a program that you were wanting to facilitate or promote in some way. If you could look at where the holes are in the whole process of what you've already tried, then you maybe could ask for help and get some. But actually, Aries, yours is a cardinal sign. And there are far more planets squaring and opposing your sign than there are trining it. And the moon is going to move on real quickly because it's only in a sign for 2.5 days. So what we have instead is that the sun is in Libra today, and so is Venus, the planet that rules that sign, and it rules peace and partnership. These two planets are opposing Neptune in your own sign, Aries. So there's going to be a change in a partnership, and there's going to be new partnerships coming along that have ideas about what they want to do in the future, and they may not include you in that. And so there's that to contend with. And then there could be a matter that's, say, a little closer to home that can affect you as well, and that is because Jupiter, clear until next year, Jupiter is going to be exalted in Cancer and squaring your sun and squaring that Neptune. And so there is a possibility, since Cancer rules the last half of life and endings, that something is really coming to an end. It's a little bigger issue than just some project that you wanted to get started. Aries are so good at starting new things that if one thing doesn't work, they just turn around and start something else. I'm not worried about you, Aries. In that respect, you'll find something else to do because that's your nature. But the problem is that in a matter that involves real estate or family members or a move, or some sort of ending that has either already occurred or is about to, I would say that somebody else is going to come out a little better than you are, Aries. And so if you feel that that is not fair to you, you may want to put your foot down. But I would say your sign doesn't have enough support, and it has a lot of planets squaring and opposing it. And if I were you, I wouldn't argue. Peace does have a high price. And I think that there's a possibility that either a family member or something involving a real estate issue or something is coming to an end. And it could all boil down to money and finances, because Mars and Pluto are squaring each other. That's going to affect everybody because that's a harsh aspect of a fixed financial sign. And so I think that, Aries, you would be wise to step back right now. And if you are in the midst of ending one partnership, or the partner is ending affiliation with you, I'm like I said, I'm not worried about you. You'll find a new way to go, Aries. You're really good at that. But you could be facing endings right now. And if peace comes at a high price, which I think it does, it simply means that if you wanted to keep peace, you'd almost have to keep quiet. And on the other hand, in other words, not fight. On the other hand, if you feel that something is really unfair, you're going to want to put your foot down. But I'm not so sure you're going to win anything by doing that. You may have to compromise instead, because justice is going to get done. And if you've been enjoying something that has been just, going along and just great, and, you're feeling really good about it, I would say that is what will be getting challenged. And you may not win the challenge right now, so you need to be cautious, very cautious, Aries. And all of us are going to have to put our foot down for the sake of peace and cooperation. just remember that that is far more important to an awful lot of people than whatever any individual wants. Just having peace and cooperation is going to be the #1 goal for everybody, since Venus has gone into Libra, but it is opposing your sun, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, there aren't any planets in the earth signs at all. That hardly ever happens, but it's happening now, Taurus. And so I think that since your ruler Venus rules 2 signs, your sign and Libra, and it's in Libra right now, you may want to think about partnership right now, but actually, Taurus, yours is a fixed financial sign. Your mind is always on the money in one way or another, and you're a good worker. You like earning good money, and you like spending it too, and you have good taste, so you have all that going for you. But right now, you're facing some serious challenges, and that is because Mercury is conjuncting Mars in Scorpio, and they are opposing your sun sign, and Pluto, which is now direct in Aquarius, is also, they are opposing your sun sign, and Pluto is squaring your sun sign. Pluto is going to go on and square your sun sign for years. And that represents people in upper management that have got their eyes on the future, and they don't have their eye on you, Taurus. And the reason why is it isn't a personal reason, actually. Well, it could be a personal reason, but I think what it really boils down to is the money. And I think you would understand that, Taurus, because your focus, yours is a fixed financial sign. You focus a lot on your own money. But try to understand that justice has to be done by people who are going to put their foot down now. And the reason why is that they want peace and cooperation. And one reason they want it is because they've got their eyes on the future. That's Pluto squaring your sun. And they know that the future is going to cost a lot of money. And so there could be layoffs. There could be cost cutting. There could be people, particularly a woman, that may be relieved of her job duties. There could be more than one of those. And that is because people can't afford things the way they could in the good old days, because these aren't the good old days anymore. And so we all have to be real careful about what we do with our money. And if I were you, I would be just watch your own money, Taurus. And your sign has no backup because there isn't anything in the earth signs. This is not a good time for you to fight with anybody or put pressure on anybody else. This is a much better time for you to really zero in on your own money and what it's doing for you and concentrate on that. You may not even want to talk to anybody about that because you could be worried about that. And so that's all you need to concentrate on now, Taurus. And your sign has no backup, so you're sort of on your own right now. And you're facing some sort of financial challenge or possible job loss in one way or another. And it could be even a job transfer, or it could simply be a layoff, or it can be that budgets are tight everywhere. And so I think there is going to be cost cutting in organizations, and employees will feel that, and you might be one of them. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time, Gemini, when you certainly benefit more than you can imagine by the fact that Venus has now gone into Libra, which it rules. It's trining your sun, and so is the sun, because the sun's in Libra too. And Uranus is in your sign at 1 degree, and so Venus is at 2 degrees of Libra. So the trine between Venus and Uranus in your sign is almost exact. And then Pluto, which is now direct in Aquarius, is also trining your sun. The only sort of dubious thing on your horizon right now, Gemini, could be the fact that your ruler, Mercury, is at 13 degrees of Scorpio, tightly conjuncting Mars in Scorpio at 16 degrees, and they're both being squared by Pluto in Aquarius, which does trine your sun, but it's getting hit by this hard square, and there is the possibility that even either you or your employer is not too sure about their financial future, and so if you were expecting a raise or a big promotion, or if you were wanting to spend a lot of money on something right now, or you're planning some new project of yours that could be costly, I would say that at the very least you would need another partner to make sure that you would need to be working in tandem with someone else to achieve a goal of yours right now, Gemini. I don't think everything's going to fall in your lap, but remember, everybody has to put their foot down in order to ensure peace and cooperation. This could benefit you, and it might even be, oddly enough, that you know somebody in a higher management position who is putting their foot down right now. I'm not so sure that you're going to get hurt by that, Gemini. But it wouldn't hurt you if you're thinking of an expensive project of your own to look around for a helpful partner, because the Sun and Venus are in Libra, trining your Sun, and Libra rules partnership. Or a better contract. If you're about to sign a contract, I'd have somebody else look it over and give you an opinion of whether it's a good contract or not before you sign it. And you could find somebody to do that, Gemini. So all I'm suggesting is that you slow down a little bit, because Saturn in Pisces is squaring that Uranus in your sign, and that means that there can be, don't move too fast right now, because there can be some carefully concealed secret coming out from behind the scenes that could be somewhat of a disappointment to you. Saturn rules delay, and it rules doubt, and it's squaring your sun sign. So it could be a little bit of a disappointment to you. But you are actually with Venus and the Sun trining your sign, and Pluto trining your sign, which is now direct. I don't think you have any big worries, Gemini, but you could have some little ones that are bothering you. And remember that peace and cooperation are what we all have to go for now. And if you have to be a little strict about that, or you have to do some budget cutting right now, then go ahead and do it. And nobody says you have to do something fast. So I think you can still succeed. It just might be a little slower than what you were thinking about. But good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time, Cancer, since yours is a cardinal sign, that you sort of have the best of both worlds. But you're going to have to decide what to do about it. And by that, I mean that there is a grand trine in the water signs, and yours is a water sign. So Mercury and Mars in Scorpio are trining Jupiter in your sign, which is exalted there. And Saturn in Pisces is also trining that Jupiter in your sign, Cancer. And I think Jupiter is at 24 and Saturn is at 27. It's a really tight, close trine. And the trine from the planets in Scorpio is pretty powerful, because Mercury and Mars are conjuncting each other. And since your sign rules endings, and it rules the last half of life, and it rules home and family and real estate matters, and it rules anything coming out of the ground, so it rules agriculture and mining as well. So those things could be on your mind, Cancer. But because your sign does rule endings, and it seems to indicate that even though there are 10 planets trining each other, all 10 of them are being challenged by other planets that are creating problems at the same time. It might be you, Cancer, that has to put your foot down about something, and that could generate an ending. And your sign is absolutely excellent at endings. They take a long time. Cancers are not in any hurry to just snap their fingers and get an ending. But it may be that you are so well in touch with your own feelings because of this powerful grand trine in the water signs that you realize that an ending is imminent. I don't think it's your ending, Cancer, but it is the ending of someone that you're associated with. Excuse me. And the reason why is that you have outgrown that relationship, okay? That relationship is a relationship connected to your past, and we all grow and change because we're all still alive, and so we all do that. And the world around us changes too, and so you've changed, Cancer. And so it can be even, surprisingly, because Cancers have very mild temperaments, and they're very nurturing. And, a Cancer is known to go the extra mile or give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt. But this is a time when everybody has to put their foot down. And so, yes, you have a wonderful grand trine that you benefit from because you've got an exalted planet in your sign as well. But on the other hand, Cancer, the reason why you have to put your foot down is because we need to have peace, and we need to have cooperation now. And that is highly likely. We just need to do a little work for it, but we can attain that. And that is because there is a harsh T-cross in the cardinal signs, and that can be affecting you because Venus and the Sun in Libra are squaring Jupiter in your sign. And Jupiter and Venus are the two best planets in the heavens. They're not getting along too well right now. And so there is a question about a partnership or a peace offer or a legal contract or a legal situation of some kind that it's challenging to you, and it can be if you feel that you have been sort of on the losing end of some deal, or someone's been riding your coattails or taking advantage of you. It's time to end that. And the reason why it's time to end that is because it didn't bring about the peace that generally a Cancer is longing for. In other words, if you're having to put your foot down right now and end some sort of a partnership or legal contract in one way or another, it could turn out to be a relief for you, Cancer, because it's really, somebody's not getting the fair end of something, and it could be you. And it's time to end that, and it's time for you to put your foot down, because somebody's been kidding you about a new beginning, and that's because Neptune is in Aries, and it is squaring your Sun also. And so Neptune can make people fool themselves or make false starts, and it's in Aries, a sign of new beginnings. Somebody could even want to be able to shame you or lay a guilt trip on you if you don't go for some new beginning, and that is why you need to put your foot down. Because, emotional blackmail, that's no good. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. And you can't fall for that, Cancer. You're certainly too good for that. And you have a heart that's big as all outdoors. And you've had one like that all your life. And you don't need to have anybody trying to blackmail you into doing what they want under any circumstances. And it would be like trying to make you feel guilty if you wanted to do something that you wanted to, when they want you to do what they want. Instead, you need to put your foot down, Cancer, and end it. And Cancers don't end things very often, but when they do, they really do it. And this is a time when you should do that, because you do have Jupiter in your sign, and that means that you could probably facilitate an ending that should have ended a long time ago, and possibly two, not one. And what's over is over, Cancer. Let it go, because you have every right to your own happiness too, and you are the beneficiary, first of all, of having the exalted Jupiter in your sign. That only happens once every 12 years, but it's in a grand trine. And yes, Mercury and Mars are trining it from Scorpio, but Saturn is trining it from Pisces. If you find out some information that was carefully concealed and finally comes out, you'll be better for knowing it. That'll be good for you. And so go ahead and put your foot down, Cancer. It's not your usual way of doing things. But if you let people walk all over you, then how does it feel to be trampled on? That doesn't do much for you, does it? And you're worth more. You're worth people's real respect. And you don't have to be manipulated by others, even though you are nice. And you don't need that. That's why we all have to put our foot down, because we need to ensure peace and cooperation. And that means that people are treated fairly. And that's what Venus in Libra stands for, even if it is squaring your Sun. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, the moon is in your sign today. Well, congratulations. There's a lot of light on you, Leo. And it is being trined by Neptune, which is retrograde in Aries. Neptune is a nebulous planet, so is the moon. And so you could sort of have stars in your eyes, Leo, thinking that some new beginning could be just wonderful right now. Well, maybe it could be, but there's also the possibility you could be kidding yourself about that. And that is because there is such a harsh T-cross among fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. And so you're going to feel that more than you're going to feel Neptune trining your Sun, because Neptune sort of operates a little bit in the shadows in one way or another. And it's retrograde as well. And it's facing a harsh T-cross in the cardinal signs. I don't think it's much help to you, Leo. But you do have the moon in your sign, only that little moon is getting squared by Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, indicating financial problems and also problems with possessions. In other words, you might think that something is yours and somebody else could think it's theirs, and there's the problem. And somebody's got to put their foot down. At the same time, Pluto, which is now direct in Aquarius, which is Scorpio's other ruler, is opposing the moon in your sign. And what that means, because Pluto is going to keep opposing your sign for many, many years to come, Leo, so do not kid yourself. There are people in upper management, in large corporations, government agencies or institutions that are really worried about how to pay for their future needs or their future goals, and they're not going to include you, and on top of that, they're not going to give you any money and or authority. And that's because Pluto is a planet of deep psychological transformation and change. And what that means, Leo, whether the moon's in your sign or not, it's because it's there, you could feel that opposition a little bit more, and an opposition represents separations. It simply means if you could be magnanimous right now and simply understand that there are people, particularly people in high places, that really want to go their own way. It's not exactly that they have anything against you, it's just that they don't see you fitting into their plans. And they really want to do that. Now they're going to, Leo, and you could keep batting your head against a brick wall by trying to come up against these people or trying to talk these people into what you want. This is never going to work. Not while Pluto is in Aquarius, and that planet's going to be there for well over a decade, possibly 2 decades. And so do you want to spend the rest of your life hitting your head against a brick wall, which is the ambitions of these other people that are going into the future? Gee, give yourself a break, Leo. Don't do that. It isn't worth it. Besides, you would be in perpetual fighting mode. And Leos like to have fun. And also, Leo, your sign is it's made for better things than just fighting with people. And so if there was a possibility, since peace has a high price right now, and we're all going to have to put our foot down in order to promote peace and cooperation and see that justice is done, if you could be a little bit more understanding about what you want, and you could maybe even change the direction that you're going in order to circumvent people with financial problems or who have ideas of their own and they're not including you. In other words, if you go after something that's unattainable right now, Leo, so that means you're not going to get it, it's going to make you feel bad, okay? Why don't you just change directions and go towards something that will make you feel good? Okay, you can do that. It's just that fixed signs dig in, and this is not a time when you can afford to dig in, Leo. It will do you no good. Unless you want to live in a deep hole for the rest of your life, because that's all you're going to do is dig a hole for yourself. The planets are too strong in Scorpio and Aquarius, and they're coming up against your sign. Don't fight yesterday's battles, Leo. It won't do you any good. And it won't do you any good to fight today's battles either. Try to think of how you can make yourself happy going in a different direction. Maybe it's not even a new direction. Maybe it's time to retire. Just, maybe you've always had a hobby that you absolutely love doing. Well, why don't you just do that a little bit more? It'll make you happy, Leo. But everybody has financial problems, and you could too right now, and perhaps you need to attend to those first. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, there aren't any planets in the earth signs right now, so it's a little bit hard for people to be practical when they've got money worries on their mind. And everybody does, because Mars is being squared by Pluto, and they are the rulers of Scorpio, and Scorpio rules credit. Okay, so people could have high credit and debt. They need to pay off their debts, or maybe they have a lot of loans that they need to pay off. You see, everybody can be worried about something that costs money right now. And what we all have to do is put our foot down and realize these aren't the good old days, and that if we want to move forward in a way that promotes justice and means that peace prevails and cooperation prevails, then we're going to have to cut out the heavy hitting, and we're going to have to sort of go more gently toward things. The reason that I'm talking about that right now, even though I'm saying that we need to put our foot down in order to promote peace and cooperation, is that your sign rules health, Virgo, and it rules your mental health because it's a mental sign ruled by Mercury, and it rules your physical health as well because it rules the central nervous system. Well, your ruler, Mercury, is conjuncting Mars right now in Scorpio. They sextile your sun. And the sun in Libra, along with Venus in Libra, also sextiles your sun. And so whatever direction the peace planet, which is Venus, and the war planet, Mars, whatever directions those planets are going in, they're highlighted right now. And you could ask yourself, well, do I want to jump into the fray? Or do I want to just withdraw a little bit and try to do things that give me a peace of mind? And if I were you, Virgo, since there are no planets in earth signs, there's nothing supporting your sign at all, and your ruler is getting hit by Mars, and you have to be careful not to overdo. Don't overdo anything. Don't eat too much. Your sign rules diet and nutrition. And you should be exercising more. In other words, pay attention to good health practices, Virgo, because even if there's nothing supporting your sun sign, you can be supporting yourself and doing what's right for you, and that's good. And so you can be sort of patting yourself on the back and being proud of your own efforts for self-improvement. Your sign rules self-improvement. So you're actually really good at that, Virgo. I would confine my efforts to that right now because there isn't any support in the earth signs at all. But on the other hand, there is a planet that is opposing your sun sign, and you need to be careful now about that. Saturn is in Pisces. It is opposing your sun sign. There isn't anything in your sun sign, but it simply means that if secrets from the past, which have been carefully concealed, come out, that could affect you in one way or another. You could at least be pretty surprised by that. In other words, if you had been a little bit suspicious that somebody wasn't telling you the whole truth, or they seem to be living a lifestyle that they couldn't really afford, but they're living it anyway, that would be a little strange. You may find out the real truth about something right now, Virgo. If I were you, I would not overreact to it. In fact, you could chalk that up for more knowledge and more facts and details that are important to you when you make decisions. But I would say it might pay you to be a little bit quiet right now about whatever you discover. And that is because there's no support in the earth signs. Even if you had some knowledge and you wanted to do something with it, what could you do? There's no support. And so just be a little bit careful. And whatever you learn, just keep it to yourself, Virgo. Nothing wrong with that. You might make a decision. Venus is right ahead of your sun sign, and Mars is ahead of that. You could walk into some situation where you feel you do need to put your foot down. You'd probably be successful at that, because as long as your goal was peace and cooperation, you could succeed. But without any support in the earth signs, you may not exactly feel that you're up for that yet. You might be in the future, but I would just take it easy this week, Virgo. And if you learn something that you always sort of thought might be true and it comes out, just keep it to yourself. And don't comment. Just keep going on your regular life. Keep a smile on your face. Everybody likes a smile, Virgo. Everybody likes a smile. And it doesn't cost you anything. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, congratulations. Venus is in your sign. That is your own ruler. The sun is in your sign as well. And they are being trined by Uranus in Gemini. Exactly. Uranus is at 1 degree of Gemini, and Venus in your sign is only at 2 degrees. Venus is going to be in your sign for a while because it's right at the beginning of your sign. And Pluto, which is now direct in Aquarius, also at 1 degree, is exactly trining that Venus in your sign as well, and the Sun there. And so, Libra, I think that you could be very interested in seeing that peace is promoted, that justice is done, and that cooperation is instilled in a lot of other people. And if it takes you having to put your foot down, which Libra is so full of charm, even when they're saying something that people have to do, they say it in a charming way that gets cooperation. And, you know, your sign rules fairness and balance, Libra. And so, you know, you can, not everybody has to be perfect around you. You can sort of take people the way they come. But in the end, with Venus in your sign, if you don't have a partner, you could be looking for a new partner. And I'm happy to say, Libra, they could be looking for you. Because you could be very appealing to other people with Venus in your sign, particularly if you're trying to look your best. And so you could be very popular right now. At the same time, so that's the good news, at the same time, there are planets in cardinal signs, and yours is a cardinal sign, that are squaring your sun sign and opposing your sun sign. Neptune in Aries is opposing Venus and the Sun in your sign. And so there's somebody who has been thinking about a new beginning or wanting to get it off the ground, and it's really just a false start. It's not going to make it, and they could be wanting to draw you into that. And I would be a little bit hesitant or a little bit cautious about that, Libra. The stars are with you, but possibly not somebody who's kidding themselves about a new beginning. So I would test things out a little bit, or you know, if you meet somebody, Libra, that is very much attracted to you and they want you to go off and do something with them, I would either delay that a little bit or check it out and just say, well, maybe later, and then check it out a little bit, and you might have been wise not to go. Yeah, because possibly they were painting a blue sky. Maybe they were saying everything that was wonderful and not all of it was true. Something like that. So you need to be a little questioning of some people that are telling you something that is sounding too good to be true, because it's probably not, with that Neptune in Aries opposing your sun sign. And then Jupiter in Cancer is squaring your sun sign. That's too bad, because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer and Venus is at home in your sign, and these are the two best planets in the heavens, and they're squaring each other. So you have to be a little bit careful. I think that you're going to be in such a good mood, Libra, that you're just going to want to make everybody happy in the world, probably because you're going to be feeling better. There could be a wonderful partner coming your way, because the Sun is in your sign as well. And it can be that some things that you had done in the past, Libra, which you succeeded at, or you were good at, and maybe you're not doing them right now, maybe you're doing something different right now, but still your good reputation precedes you, Libra, and somebody could come to you with a partnership offer based on prior work you'd already done that was outstanding. And they know that. So you could attract new partners right now. And so, you know, put your best foot forward, Libra. This is a good time for you. And if there is something that has to do with a real estate matter or a family matter that that is a little bit overwhelming at the moment, just take it one step at a time. You could do that. There's a grand trine in the air signs. And so don't worry about it. Whether you're trying something that's short-term or whether somebody's coming to you with a really, based on your prior work experience, something you've done really well, and they want to join up with you regarding that, you should consider that a compliment to you, Libra. Take it seriously. And I would say you should say yes to that, because you already have a good record and you can stand on it. You're already ahead right at the start, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when for sure you benefit from the grand trine in the water signs, and that is because Mars is in your sign. It's been there for a while. It's going to stay there for a while too. It's only halfway through the sign. And it's at 16 degrees. It's being conjuncted by Mercury, the planet of the mind and communication, at 13 degrees. So that's a pretty tight conjunction. That means that you could be, your mind could just be working overtime right now, Scorpio. You could be thinking and planning a lot of different things, because that's what Mercury, that's the effect Mercury would have on you. And then they are being trined by that exalted Jupiter in Cancer. And that's good for you, Scorpio. That means if you were thinking of making a long delayed move, you certainly could do it right now. And the reason why is because you could sort of get your communication lines working really well, since Mercury is conjuncting your own ruler, Mars in your sign, and Mars's energy. You'd have the energy to do all that. So if you're thinking of packing up and even moving back to a place that's a little closer to where you grew up, or to where your parents lived, or something like that, you could do that in the blink of an eye. That would work out fine. At the same time, Saturn is in Pisces, and it's trining that Jupiter in Cancer, but it's also trining Mars in your sign and Mercury. Now, Saturn is one malefic planet, ruling obstacles and delays, and Mars is the other, ruling a lot of energy and aggression and even war. But these two planets, which are extremely forceful in their own right, are trining each other. And that means that you have some extra help behind the scenes, somebody who's could be a little bit older or very experienced, and they could be wanting to help you in some way or another. But it would be somebody that could be what you might call in your private life, or it could even represent a dream that you've had for a very long time, that could be, you could work on that right now, and that could turn out to be somewhat successful for you, Scorpio. Because remember, you have Jupiter trining your sun, and you have Saturn trining your sun. And Jupiter's exalted, and Saturn is working with you, not against you. And so if you were trying to do something, let's say that you had either a dream or you had a goal that you always wanted to do, but you were so busy you never got around to it, this is probably a time when you would succeed at that. And there may not be a lot of people that know about it. But it also means that if you needed to contact somebody in order to see that justice was done at last, because Saturn rules time, you could do that. And so if you were going to put your foot down right now, Scorpio, that might be a wise idea. It could be probably time for that, or it would be overdue. And that means that justice would have to be done, which is exactly what your sign rules. And it's got a tremendous amount of backup right now. And so what would the justice be about? A financial matter. Because yours is a financial sign. And your other ruler, Pluto, is squaring the planets in your sign. But it's part of a grand trine that is being fortified by Venus and the Sun in Libra, and by Uranus in Gemini. And Pluto is now direct. And so in order to move into the future, you're going to have to put your foot down about something from the past that should have ended a long time ago. I mean, it certainly should be ending by now. And Jupiter in Cancer, which rules endings, is going to facilitate that. And so in a funny kind of a way, Scorpio, if you were thinking of coming home or moving home, and home would be somewhere that you were familiar with, or that reminds you of how you were raised, or the values that your parents raised you with, you would be able to do that now. You would have to put your foot down with other people that have not been cooperative or don't want peace. They want to fight or something like that. No, you can move straight forward in your future because your other ruler, Pluto, just went direct in the sign of the future. What are you waiting for, Scorpio? Go to it. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, there are two planets in the mutable signs that are squaring each other, and unfortunately they can be affecting you, Sagittarius, and that is because Saturn in Pisces is squaring your sun, so somebody behind the scenes is not telling you the whole truth about something, Sagittarius, and they're telling you what you want to hear. They're not telling you the whole story. And you should sort of try to find out what else is going on behind the scenes, Sagittarius. And that is because maybe they've been trying to pull the wool over your eyes a little bit. And that's something you should put your foot down on. That's not fair to you. And they should be stopped. And then the other planet that is adversely affecting your sun sign now is Uranus in Gemini, which is opposing your sun sign. And Uranus is one malefic planet and Saturn is the other. And so they represent some information that had been cleverly concealed for a long time that finally comes out. This may do you a lot of good, Sagittarius, like it's time you found out about that. And you may find out about that either accidentally or because somebody just sort of shoots their mouth off and they let it slip. And you find out that way, who knows? At the same time, the moon in Leo is trining your sun. So you could know a very nice woman who could be somewhat glamorous in one way or in sports. Either they could be attracted to you or you could be attracted to them. That would be nice. And then also Neptune in Aries is trining your sun. And that's an indication that you might have been kidding yourself about some new start that you wanted to make. And there could be drawbacks to that. In other words, something that you wanted to start could have turned out to be a false start because Neptune is retrograde. Now, the reason that might have already occurred is because Neptune has been in Aries trining your sun, and that would maybe help you kid yourself about a new beginning. But it's about to leave and go back into Pisces, where it will then be squaring your sun along with that Saturn. And so you're right on the verge of being able to determine if a new beginning is worth it or not. And it might be that it is not. And that is because once you put your foot down and you want to know the real truth about what's going on behind the scenes or what other people are saying to you, if you did a little more investigative work, it might be really worthwhile for you to do that right now, Sagittarius. If I were you, I'd snoop around a little bit. You're always good at finding information. Sagittarians are very well read. They're really up on what's going on in the world. But possibly in your personal life, you may need to do a little bit more investigation about what some of the people around you are either doing or saying that is in conflict with what they're telling you. And then you can ask yourself what you want to do about it. But actually, in this next week, people are going to have to put their foot down in order to ensure peace and cooperation. And that means fairness. And possibly some people have not been too fair to you, Sagittarius, and you need to do something to correct that. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, since there are no planets in any of the earth signs, that you may be going through what you might call a quiet spell, Capricorn, and that is probably to your advantage. And the reason why is that Neptune in Aries is squaring your sun, which means that there's some new beginning that, you know, even if you were going to start a new beginning right now, Capricorn, it might either cost you too much, or it might have some hidden costs connected to it, or you might not have enough information to know if it's really going to last. I mean, you know, there's lots of new starts that look grand and glorious, but do they all last? I don't know, because Neptune in Aries is squaring your sun. At the same time, Venus and the Sun in Libra are also squaring your sun. And Jupiter in Cancer is opposing your sun. Is this a good time for you to be taking action? Well, if you wanted to put your foot down, that doesn't take much action. That just takes determination and sort of, you know, you can make a conclusion right now, Capricorn. And maybe it's overdue. And maybe you're learning something from behind the scenes, since Saturn is your ruler and it's in Pisces and it's sextiling your sun. Maybe you're learning the real truth about something and you can put your foot down. That's just fine. But if you were thinking about entering a new partnership right now, I would be a little bit careful and check it out. And also one of the most important things you should check out before you do anything right now, Capricorn, is ask how much something's going to cost. Because it would really cost you. It may not, somebody could say, well, something's going to cost this much. But what they really mean is it's going to cost you that much. It might not cost them anything. You need to really check out what people are telling you right now, Capricorn. Particularly if it involves any kind of a new start. Any kind of a new start. They're going to tell you whatever they think you want to hear so they can get what they want. That's Neptune in Aries, squaring your sun. At the same time, there could be people that are interested in a good deal, and particularly a legal deal, that could work out for them, but I'm not so sure it's going to work out for you, Capricorn. There isn't anything in the earth signs. This is not the time for you to be initiating something. This is the better time for you to think about ending something because Jupiter is in Cancer, the sign of endings, and it is opposing your sun sign. Something really good is going to end now for you, Capricorn. But and it could involve a real estate matter or a family matter of some sort. And what I think is that you will not miss it at all. Because it wasn't your style or it wasn't something that you really liked or it's okay if it ends. Maybe it should have ended a long time ago. So this is not the time for you to initiate action, but this is a very good time since your sign is one of the two signs that make good detectives. The Scorpio is the other. When you should sort of sniff around a little bit and find out if people are really telling you the truth or not. And there is a strong possibility that they are not. And that's why you should be in investigative mode this week. And if you have to put your foot down when you learn the truth, then it's none too soon. You can do that. Because putting your foot down is simply as simple as saying no. Just no. That's putting your foot down. And somewhere along the way, Capricorn, it might be wise for you to check out what people are telling you and then make up your mind about it. Okay? All right, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when you could be feeling a little stronger now. And that is because Pluto is in your sign. It's going to be there for years, Aquarius, but it's gone direct. That's what it did. That's the difference between the way it was for months and the way it is now. It is direct. Then it rules deep psychological transformation and change and the truth. The deep truth about something. And so you could be facing that right now. It may have involved something that you were not willing to face before. And that maybe you had even been sort of pretending about or kidding yourself about, but now you can face something. Which is good because yours is an air sign and Uranus, your own ruler, is in Gemini at 1 degree, exactly trining Pluto in your sign, which is also at 1 degree. But Uranus is going retrograde and Pluto now is going direct. And that means the shoe's on the other foot, Aquarius. And you're the one that's holding the right cards now, Aquarius. And that's good. You may not be holding enough money, though. And the reason why is yours is a fixed sign. Well, the moon in Leo is opposing your sun sign. And that simply means that there can be a woman or anything connected with women that is relieved of their duties due to financial budget cuts of some sort. And that could happen anywhere, in any organization right now. But the moon is opposing your sign. And so there can be a change in a relationship, and it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do about it. And so you just got to sort of live with it, Aquarius. And I think that'll be all right with you. The other thing, though, that can cause you problems is something financial, because Mars and Mercury and Scorpio are squaring that Pluto in your sign. And these Mars and Pluto are the two rulers of Scorpio. So you need to really pay attention to any debt that you have, or loans that are outstanding, or higher insurance costs, or trouble with an inheritance, or credit problems of any kind. You need to really watch those right now, Aquarius. And just understand that if you have a financial problem, it would really pay you to go and talk to somebody about it. and get some good legal advice, because Venus and the Sun in Libra are trining your Sun, so you could get good legal advice right now, or a mediator could step in and speak for you, because Uranus, your own ruler, is in Gemini, and that's what Gemini rules, short communications, and is trining your Sun. So if you're in a little financial hole at all, Aquarius, I think you can get yourself out of it, and I hope you give it a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when a carefully concealed secret from the past is definitely going to come out. I don't know if it's about you or somebody else right now, but you would tend to benefit from it. And the reason why is that Jupiter is in Cancer trining your Sun, and it's exalted right now. It could have something to do with a family member, Pisces. And it also could have something to do with a financial matter, or it could be a real estate, something that has to do with real estate, because that's what Cancer rules as well. And so Jupiter is trining Saturn in your sign, and Mars and Mercury in Scorpio are also trining Saturn in your sign. If you had some financial problems right now, Pisces, you could probably sell something. In other words, if you owned property, you could sell some property. That would give you money. That may pay off some bills, or it would, or some sort of a loan that you had. You could probably end that with the sale of something that you already own. That would be a quick way to solve any debt problems that you have, Pisces, so you might really consider that. On the other hand, there is the possibility that you, even with your mild manner, Pisces are nice to everybody because they don't really like confrontations. And so, they sort of just go along with a lot of different people. It's a mutable sign. Mutable signs are very flexible. So Pisces, that's what you are. But you, yourself, particularly with Saturn in your sign, which is a pretty strong planet, and trining Mars in Scorpio, you are going to have to put your foot down about something. Now, is it about something you're doing, Pisces? Okay, well then you need to have a little talk with yourself and listen to some wise advice right now. Even if you're talking to yourself, you should follow that along. Because if people put their foot down right now, they are going to do that so that justice can be done, and so that peace and cooperation can be maintained. I mean, there's a very good reason to put your foot down right now, and that is to create peace, which means end some strife that's in your own life. Well, it's about time to do that, Pisces. And if you have any habits that have been injuring your health in any way, this is a really good time to have a little Dutch uncle talk with yourself and to sort of decide to end a few things that aren't good for you anyway. And the ending would work, Pisces. This would be a great time to do that, because Cancer rules endings, and Jupiter is in Cancer trining your Sun, and it's exalted. Some endings that are a little bit overdue in your life, Pisces, are going to be very beneficial to you. And one way that they would be beneficial is that they would just enable you to go on with your own life. And that's probably pretty important. Pisces can feel sorry for other people. Well, they can feel sorry for themselves too, because they may have been carrying too many burdens or been worried about too many things. And other people would take advantage of that. That's happened to you, hasn't it, Pisces? Where people just sort of tell you all their problems and expect you to do something about them. Well, okay, you'll have to put your foot down, Pisces, because this is a time when you just need to try to be happy yourself. And if you have any little health habits that are not doing you any good, well, that's enough to work on. You don't have to solve anybody else's problems right now. But what you do have to do is put your foot down about other people that may have been taking advantage of you. Okay, that's got to stop, because it's not fair. It does not promote peace, and it doesn't bring any cooperation. Okay, and that's why we're putting our feet down, because that's what we've got to see that justice is done. It's going to do you a lot of good, Pisces, if you do that now. Mars is trining Saturn in your sign. Jupiter is backing you up as well. So you got to go for it, Pisces. Do your best right now. Do what's right for you and your future, not your past. And just go forward right now. if there's anything that you have been doing that has been detrimental to your own happiness and that you're responsible for, well, I would start with that, Pisces. But yours is a double-bodied sign. There could have been others that were creating problems for you, and you need to put your foot down there as well. So good luck. All right, thanks for tuning in. I want to thank people for my new viewers, and I hope you tell your friends about the show, and I'll see you right back here next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.